There is a lot going on day 11 in the Jonathan Majors trial. The prosecution rested their case early this morning, and you may have been aware that outside of the court, in the world, in the public realm, overnight, Insider obtained the 911 recording audio when Jonathan Majors calls 911 and reported the attempted unaliving of Grace Jabbari, self-unaliving. And Jimmy and Danny are both in the courtroom. Victoria B is also doing reporting from the court. So you will get a roundup of everything that's going on. But this video is going to focus on the Coretta Scott King audio, which Cheyenne Roundtree very quickly posted on Twitter. I've transcribed it to the best of my ability to help you guys read through it and make what you will of it. Remember, this is from September 2022. So the same fight where those text messages that leaked on Friday came from. And we get to hear this audio. Take a moment now to think about how that audio was characterized and go through and listen to it. Let me know your thoughts on it, how you interpret it, how you hear it, anything interesting you notice about it, how it fits into the context of that September 2022 argument or those text messages from that argument, and how you think it relates to the case at hand. And remember, the jury was instructed to take that testimony about the September 2022 fight, all that background information. They're just supposed to consider it as background information. They're not supposed to use it quite as evidence when they deliberate the charges at hand. It is only 2 minutes and 11 seconds long, so obviously it was started and stopped mid-argument. And right before we play it, I just want to show you one quick thing about how Cheyenne Roundtree chose to tweet about it. So here's her Twitter. The judge in the Jonathan Majors DV trial has permitted the release of evidence in the case, including voice recordings of Majors yelling at his ex, a video of Majors pushing her back into the car, photos of her injuries, and his text pleading with her not to go to the hospital. You know, no mention of the chase scene, no mention of margarita drink sneaking. I'm not sure if body cam footage is going to be included in this release, but if it is, it's interesting that that's not included here. It's a very protective tweet. And then here is the voice recording where Majors chastises his ex-girlfriend, saying he's a great man and needs a great woman like Michelle Obama or Coretta Scott King. Is there a lie there? Anyway, Majors was upset she went to the pub with a friend. Now focus on that last line. Majors was upset she went to the pub with a friend. Now just imagine you don't listen to this audio for yourself. You turn this video off right now, and you take this at its word, at face value. You'll walk away with the understanding that Majors didn't want Jabbari hanging out with a friend, going out in public. Let's listen.
Could be doing right now. Period. This is actually, period. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Do you really though, baby? Do you really?
Yes.
Then how dare you come home drunk and disturb the peace of our house when we have a plan? I would like to get to the point where your friends know what job I'm on and go, I think Grace is going to be out of commission. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I won't.
No, do you understand that? Because that team, that unit, right? Grace has to be in a certain mindset to support Coretta Scott King. You know who that is? That's Martin Luther King's wife. Michelle Obama, Barack Obama's wife.
I know, I'm not, I shouldn't have gone out. I'm
No,
sorry.
let me just lay it out for you, right? If I'm just going to say this. My temper, my shit, my trauma, blah, all that said, right? And I'm not saying I'm a great man. A great man. I am doing great things, not just for me, but for my culture and for the world. That is actually the position I'm in. That's real. I'm not being a dick about it. I didn't ask for it. I've worked, and that's the situation. The woman that supports me, that I support, that needs to be a great woman and make sacrifices the way that man is making for her and for them ultimately. Last night, 2 nights ago, you did not do that. You did not do that.
I'm sorry.
Which took away from the plan. And the plan is everything. If it was just you in the house drunk, maybe I could have swallowed it. Or I would have felt bold enough like, oh, babe, let's just go to bed. Which I said, I'm just going to go to bed. I'm not hungry, blah, 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 blah. Because Grace isn't here. Why? She was drunk. Why else? She was clogged by whatever was going on. You know what I mean? Fine, I can take that. Fine.
And now that you've had a chance to listen, what do you think? Because that's not the reasoning I hear when I listen to it. You are welcome to, everyone should interpret their things their own way. And, your perception can help educate others. We haven't all had the same life experiences. So the way we interpret something might be based on experience that isn't shared by somebody else, but could enlighten someone else. But me personally, I hear the reasoning that she came back drunk with this friend into the home, their place of privacy. Then he also mentions that, when is it going to come to the point where when there's a big project coming on, probably something to do with, he gets very serious about his roles. And this is where you guys can chime in because I don't know much about his roster of his work. I came into this trial knowing nothing about Jonathan Majors. But he alludes to, there's already this idea that when there's something big going on, when I have a job, meaning like a movie contract or something, I'm assuming, when is it going to get to the point where your friends know, okay, Grace is going to be out of commission for a little bit? That precedes and follows some conversation, some mention of her, having gone out and coming back home drunk with a friend. So out of commission to me means maybe partying a little bit less, maybe being super public a little bit less. And then if I take a step back from this audio recording and I think about the testimony we have about that multi-day argument that stemmed from this pub friend thing, where he kicks her out of the house that night. The next day they come back and try to reconcile, talk, but she says she was trying to pack, but that he was putting her stuff in bags and throwing her clothes down the stairs.
And she even testified that during this fight, he was breaking things that she had given him, which is weird because we see in those text messages later, she references him thinking something about a broken necklace and thinking she had broken that.
And at some point, this audio takes place. This recording is presumably happening in their apartment that they're in. And then those text messages happen at some point. So it's all very confusing because we don't have a direct timeline of the event and where those text messages fit. But there's 2 points across that multi-day situation. However, which way you want to work it, there are 2 points where she has testified that he was trying to kick her out, get her out of the house. So at the very least, she understood that a breakup was on the line when those text messages that we saw released on Friday were sent out. And what do we hear from him? Something about it's all fake. This is a miserable existence. I don't want to do this anymore, to the point where he's talking about unaliving himself. I don't know where anyone feels justified coming up with these headlines suggesting that he even came close to admitting to committing assault anywhere in those text messages. I just don't see it. If I'm told that, it sounds really bad. But when I read the text messages for myself, especially when I put it into other context, I have questions. And all this talk from the prosecution about a pattern, but I'm starting to wonder if there's a pattern on Grace Jabbari's half in terms of keeping a relationship intact and keeping a current lifestyle intact. And shout out to Wondering Chris. I think she nails it here. It sounds like this has occurred before, and by this, she means the girlfriend coming home drunk. I agree, he's not yelling, and that's important to point out because it was characterized that way last week. He isn't calling her names. He really isn't. He's not berating her, so that's another good point. Reframing the disagreement because she's recording it. People taking it out of context for a narrative. He's basically saying he has an image, and if he's to be with her, she has to think about hers too. Okay, because that's what I heard too. I would be upset if drunk folks coming into my house in the middle of the night disturbing my peace and rest. Even as a regular person, listen, I don't have, I'm not training for a movie. I'm not really doing much of anything, but I feel a little bit uncomfortable when people come to my house and, I got dishes in the sink or something. Let alone middle of the night, I'm tired, I feel like I can't be a good host. It makes me feel kind of bad because I can't be a good host. And I don't have a celebrity lifestyle to protect. I don't have things like Rolexes sitting in my apartment to protect. Holly Blakely had testified her friendship with Grace Jabbari was a different branch from Grace Jabbari's other friends. So, and we know Grace Jabbari went out to the club with Chloe and Max, and maybe that was a one-off circumstance, but this drunk pub friend that she could have brought home into the house, I mean, you never know if you can trust anybody, no matter how long you've known them. But my point is, if there's things to suggest that Grace Jabbari goes out and this is a pattern, this is something that she does often, to the point where another one of her friends says she stays separate from that. And then we know unequivocally that Grace Jabbari went out on March 25th, right after meeting Shams, Max, and Chloe. She gets in a taxi with them. After she gets her purse, her keys, her money, Jonathan Major's credit card, the black car driver, the black Escalade, the driver was still there if she wanted to take that to go home. But she said she didn't want to go home because she didn't want to be lonely at the apartment. So she goes out with these people, and Chloe and Max both testify they didn't speak to this girl again after March 25th. That was all they heard from her. So this girl goes out with these people she just met on March 25th. Holly says, my friendship with her is different from her other friends group. I did notice drinking. I did notice, Grace Jabbari drinks a lot. There's enough there that I feel comfortable questioning if this pub friend, because her testimony was that she brought home a friend from the pub, could have been sort of a rando. So it's not just someone everybody knows coming back to the house and he flips his lid. It could be a complete stranger that comes back to the house. It could be someone that Jonathan Majors has never met before or barely knows. And we're being told that he's controlling and telling some white girl to be more like black icons, and that, he's mad at her for going out and being with friends, because she testified that she started to feel isolated, that she wasn't able to see friends and family, and she felt like she had to lie to them. So to hear that this has been framed for the last week as he's mad that she went out or she was with a friend, when it's very different what he's saying in this recording. So there it is. Let me know your thoughts. If you were anybody in this situation, put the hat on for both roles. What do you think? What do you think about how it was framed versus how it actually is? If you think it's the same, let me know. If you think it was framed correctly, let me know. And if you can't tell, or maybe if you haven't seen like my 2 or 3 most recent videos, I mean, my feet are pretty firmly planted, and not only did the prosecution not prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt before they rested their case this morning, but I think it's very logical now to speculate that Grace Jabbari may have intentionally reframed the situation once she realized the relationship was over. The ball's in your court. Tell me what you think.